Hi everyone, my name is Abigail Hathaway and this is my Session 5 video presentation on corporate corruption and FTX for Leadership and Management 1. An overview is corporate scandals have prevailed throughout time, all the way from the Enron scandal that we saw in 2001 to recently in 2022, the FTX scandal. And when it comes to scandals, 1 Timothy 6:9 in the Bible states, "But those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction." And with this, I see that it represents what corporate fraud and corporate greed do. People get greedy and then they destroy the company in the process. Through historical analysis, we can definitely compare also the U.S. national debt to trends in corporate corruption and how it just happens slowly. And then overall, what you do in the darkness comes out in the light. Therefore, leaders have a responsibility to mitigate fraud, and as a leader in business, it is our duty to mitigate this. The scandal of FTX occurred in 2022 is when the downfall of the company happened. It was founded by Sam Bankman-Fried in 2019, so the company was only 3 years old. And what happened, it was a cryptocurrency trading platform that ended up collapsing due to the mishandling of customer funds, in addition to other various crimes like financial violations, securities fraud. After internal financial statements ended up being leaked to the public, FTX went bankrupt because so many customers tried to withdraw their funds all at once and the money wasn't available due to asset mismanagement and also the lack of proper financial oversight. The internal operations just were not up to par. So, historical perspective on corporate corruption is there's so many scandals that we see that happen throughout time, like Enron, Bernie Madoff, also the Volkswagen with the diesel engines, and it just kind of highlights that history tends to repeat itself, and really there's a root of unethical leadership at the core of all of these scandals or patterns of corruption that we see. FTX was also a repeat of those past failures. And not only is it due to unethical leadership, but also a dysfunctional framework for operations. Luke 12:2-3 in the Bible also highlights how these things will be revealed in due time. Nothing is covered up that will not be revealed or hidden, that will not be known. Therefore, whatever you have said in the dark shall be heard in the light, and what you have whispered in private rooms shall be proclaimed on the housetops. Therefore, anything you do and say behind closed doors, especially in a public organization, it will be known. So always operate like someone's watching, like God's watching. So the leadership crisis here is that leaders are responsible to have social perceptiveness, to know what is going on in the company and how are the employees operating in their behavior? What are the goals? What's internally motivating these individuals as well? And corporate scandals throughout time have a core similarity where the scandal is rooted in greed and love of money. Therefore, this will lead to the company's destruction. And this destruction can be seen in biblical context as well through 1 Timothy 6:10. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evils. It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs, as we can see in the company's downfall. It is crucial for leaders to adapt within changing circumstances, especially when unethical actions are at play. And if leaders don't do this, a crisis will happen. So, current and future direction, and also what could the next critical business crisis be possibly? Through transformational and servant leadership practices learned and applied, this is how an organization can overturn these poor practices and set a solid foundation for followers moving forward. And this will also increase team cohesion, trustworthiness, and effectiveness in goal achievement, because it all starts from the leader, and it trickles down from there. So this is why leadership is crucial for a company's overall success. Although corporate fraud will always be inevitable, when it comes to what could be the next critical business crisis, I know we have this election coming up for the president of the US, and we never know. It could develop into a critical business crisis for the country, especially when it comes to our national debt. Leaders turning this around, it's just pertinent for it to start there. Due to the internal instability and lack of auditing systems, Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX, the CEO and founder, he was set up, he set up the environment. It became conducive for fraud to occur, and he didn't change that. Therefore, it got worse. This is why adaptive leadership is so crucial. It's a multi-dimensional approach where leaders step back from the situation to gain a greater perspective as they assess the challenge in a different way that can be leveraged. And then the leader can mobilize others to engage in more adaptive work. And this wasn't present in FTX. Where was this shift in behavior? The fraud got worse, the operations got worse, and nothing was fixed. Leaders must continually learn and develop from past mistakes in order to prevent future ones from occurring. And without that, companies can fail. When it comes to the U.S. national debt, we can see that scandals always start small and get bigger and worse over time. And if we compare that to the debt of the U.S., it started small, and we can see that it's exponentially growing. Therefore, there's a similarity in that. Woodbury, 2023, he highlights the irresponsibility of continuously raising the national debt ceiling without any of the current leaders with power addressing these structural imbalances in this federal budget. And we can also see this comparison to the failures within Enron and FTX. Collapse and corruption will occur when there's a top-down leadership imbalance. They see an issue, but yet they don't do anything about it. And then the followers still have to abide by what policies are in place. So it just continues on and leads to the turmoil of the company, like a snowball effect. Practices, policies, and processes are crucial as well. All around, things need to be ethical, and leaders need to decide on through an ethical structure. And leaders begin that process of behavior that it just ripples throughout the company, and through both social and technical relationships, or through the relationship of social and technical processes, employee performance can become enhanced if these correct systems are in place. The downfall of FTX could have been prevented from proper leadership and systems, just like any of the past corporate scandals that we have seen, as well as the U.S. national debt. I believe that if proper systems come into place, proper plan, then it won't have a point of destruction at some point. Personality audits, I do believe, should become a mandatory practice for all upper leadership, especially in the field of finance, when there's high stakes involved. Like $8 billion, I believe, was missing from FTX. And when you have that type of responsibility, especially for other people's hard-earned cash, that we should know what the internal workings of the leader is, because a personality audit, it was developed in order to assess and clarify the motivational needs of executives and bring out like the inner theater of these leaders to the surface, so we could kind of know what's going on. Like, are they ethical? Are they unethical individuals? And how will they lead the company moving forward? In conclusion, when something is unrighteously gained, it will not prevail, as seen in all of these situations of corporate fraud and scandals, and it will always be brought to the light that which is done in the darkness. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it, as stated in Proverbs 13:11. History repeats itself, and leaders must do what it takes to be the example for the company and be ahead of all issues. Corporate health and the success of the business always begins with the leader, and the U.S. national debt closely aligns with the downfall of past corporate demise. So, really, when we compare corporate scandal and failure with the debt of the US, we need to ask ourselves, what is this country's future? Thank you for watching, and here's some references for more information, and have a wonderful day.